Okay, I know. I was talking about tonight, and I said that I was not going to be able to play piano, and here I am at my friend Rob's house, and he's got this nice little keyboard set up. So I thought that I would play a song for you on the piano, and then I will. This is kind of a rare thing, especially right now when I'm out in the desert. I'm actually here with a friend who's a musician, and is going to play a bunch of songs with me today. I'm really excited about it. His name is Rob Stone. He is a blues artist who is known all around the world these days in the blues world, and I'm psyched to tell you all about him, and just hang with my friend a little bit. But I am just there. You go. You're all here, showing up. I love it. All right, and I'm drinking his fancy whiskey in a fancy glass. It's a good day. It's 1 o'clock in the afternoon. I'm drunk at the bar. She comes and sits down beside me. Says, boy, I don't know how lucky you are. I got a place round the corner where we can go to your car. Don't cost much to see heaven. I could take you to God. Well, there's emptiness inside us could easily divide us. But if we hold each other like mercy and kindness just may remind us to hold each other now. When you're tired of the tale on which your life is at stake, when your heart's lost its rhythm, when you owe more than you make, and when you're holding it together, but your grief is starting to break, come and sit down beside me. We'll drink one to our mistakes. With this emptiness inside us could easily divide us. But if we hold each other now, mercy and kindness just may remind us to hold each other now. Hold each other. Hold each other. I know when it's raining, just like I know when I'm alone. We stumble through lives, just like I'm about to stumble on home. I gave that woman a 50, told her to take it and go. in a hope where she's headed. It's mercy she knows. With a emptiness inside us couldn't easily divide us. But if we hold each other now, mercy and kindness just may remind us to hold each other now. Emptiness and sound hold each other now. Mercy and kindness. Oh man. Look at us in Los Angeles. Very fancy. Very fancy. So we've been in this, Rob and I've been in this this little apartment today in Little Tokyo, and we have been working on an idea for a music video for Switching the Whiskey, which y'all know we've been working on and excited to come out with very shortly. I don't know if we're gonna pull off coming up with an idea, but we've been working hard. I've known Rob since I was 13 years old at summer camp, and he's a Massachusetts boy like me. Grew up in Stoughton, and when I got out of school and was ready to be a musician, Rob and his brother Jeff were living in Chicago. Some of you have heard me talk about that a lot. I went there and I lived in Chicago for a little bit in a little back closet in the back of their apartment right near Wrigley Field. And I played open mics all the time, and I also, through Rob, got to see and experience a lot of blues. And Rob was on tour with smoking blues artist and band that we're going to talk about today a little bit, and I would follow them around. I would see their gigs and help them carry gear, and occasionally get a guitar lesson from their guitarist Chris James, great blues guitarist, and it was a place that has really inspired a lot of my music and songwriting, the way I thought about playing music live, and so let me bring Rob out because we're gonna just hang. Come on over here, Rob. Hey, what's up, bud? Say hi to our gatherers.
Hi, gatherers.
Have you done any?
It's very culty.
Yeah. Have you done any live stream stuff before?
No. In fact, I haven't even picked up a harmonica since my last live performance in February. I did 1 or 2 sessions, and in all that time.
Right. Well, they're very, very critical.
We shall see if I can still play any notes.
Most of my performances are very perfect, so
I know
they're used to a high standard. But it's weird. It is a weird thing. Like you, like me, are used to when we play music, we play in front of human beings.
Right.
And this was like a super weird thing for me to get used to. It's like
the
that
camera,
is our
staring at the red light, and imagining faces.
Yes. Right. And anytime, for me, I try to stare at the red light because I know that that's where I'm seeing you gatherers as you're watching me. But it sometimes I need a reminder that you're out there, and this is just what is happening the entire time in there.
Oh, we are culty. Did he say culty? There's going to be a huge...
Is there going to be a backlash against that comment?
Oh, yeah, they're
Are
very
you gatherers
critical.
lighting candles?
They're very, very, very critical.
That's good.
This is cool. Yeah, isn't that cool?
Uh-huh.
See, we love guests. And they were saying, a bunch of them were saying hi to you earlier.
Oh.
You missed that, yeah. And
Hi.
they say hi to each other.
I will go back and read through that later. Is that a thing? Can you do that?
Yeah. Hey, look at this. This is our friend
Nina Grecken.
This is our friend Nina.
Aw. I love Nina Grecken.
Yep, everybody used to know Rob as Robbie back in the day. It's pretty cool, right?
Yeah.
You know what's really cool too? There are people all over the world watching this. You'll see posts in different languages.
Awesome.
And yeah, it is a very cool and inspiring thing. So, anyways, but this is very rare because sometimes I'll have musical guests on, but the only people I've actually I think played with live in the same room have been.
I've
my
been
band
COVID
members.
tested. And in quarantine ever since.
It's a true story.
Yes.
You've been careful. So I just want to give them a little bit of background on you. I think your
All right.
story is super, super great. So Rob goes to college in Colorado College, and he fell in love with playing the harmonica, playing starting in summer camp probably is what started it, right?
Yeah. Well, I got to college, and I was 18. Went and saw a guy named Charlie Musselwhite, who's like one of the greats, and bought a harmonica, and it just kind of clicked in. So I got lucky.
And you started playing all the time, and then a band was coming through town. I think I remember this story right? Sam was touring through
Right.
town, and you went up, kind of a ballsy move. You asked them if you could sit in.
Well, no. I didn't have that. My balls were not that big. I've been playing in Colorado biker bands, blues rock bands, and that's all I had done. But I was listening to really traditional Chicago stuff, and so I knew who Sam Lay was.
Tell them who Sam was.
Sam Lay is one of these kind of legendary Chicago blues figures. Most known, he did about 40 records with Howlin' Wolf, Muddy Waters, Otis Rush, Lightnin' Hopkins. It goes on. He played with Bob Dylan at Newport. He famously got in a fist fight with Jimi Hendrix.
I didn't know that story.
He famously shot himself in the groin on a gig when someone came to kill James Cotton.
Character.
Yes.
Crazy character. And what a lot of people don't appreciate is even the most famous of blues artists were playing in small little shitty and dangerous places oftentimes.
Oh yeah, you could be playing, and even in the day, you could be playing a gig for 200 people, and then the next day play a festival for 30,000 people. So it's blues. The blues world remains like that today.
Yeah.
But Sam, I heard him on the radio, and I knew him from the Paul Butterfield Blues Band, which was the first integrated blues band in American history. And I took some CDs down to the radio station where he was doing an interview. I heard him and started chatting with him, asked him to autograph some CDs. And I told him I played harmonica, and then he said, "Oh, you should come sit in." And I had studied with a guy named Jerry Portnoy, who was one of Muddy Waters' harmonica players and had been in Sam Lay's band. And so I probably overstated how much I had studied with Jerry. And so Sam invited me to sit in, and I shit my pants. And I had a terrible cold, and I took 82 different types of drugs, and then went to the show and sat in, and he just had me keep sitting in. So I ended up playing, most of the night. Meanwhile, the guitar player is looking at me like, "You do not know how to play harmonica," And after the show, he said, "What are you doing?" I said, "I'm in school out here." He said, "What are you doing after that?" I said, I don't know. He said, "Why don't you move to Chicago?" So he gave me his business card, which entailed me getting a napkin and him taking out a rubber stamp with his name and address for him. And I still have it. And stamping the rubber stamp, and gave me his thing, and I stayed in touch with him. And I think and then I moved to Chicago and toured with him, but I think I got the gig because I was nice, and I wasn't a drug addict, and he had just been dealing with
A lot of
that.
There's
So
a lot of that.
it was like, I got this dumb kid. He doesn't know shit, but I can control him, and we'll let him ride it out in the band for a little bit. So pretty cool.
More of that story to come, but we've been talking too much. Let's play a song. And this is one that I've been actually playing more of since the Gathering series started, and it's one that we talked about was inspired in large part by my experience in Chicago and watching Rob play and listening to a lot of blues and being inspired, especially by a lot of those Delta players that would move their thumbs on the guitar and create a bass pattern, and their fingers would do something totally different. And this is like a kind of a baby version of what a lot of those guys were able to do. But it was my first attempt at trying to take that style and teach myself a bit of that style through songwriting. I was never a guy that could like sit down and practice trying to learn somebody else's song. I had to write my own song, and then I had to practice that, and that's how I would teach myself. So this one's called The Flood. Let me tune this better. Sorry. Chris, who was the guitarist in Sam Lay's band at the time that Rob was touring. I was just a starting guitarist, man. He always, much like Doug Smith, would make fun of my inability to tune my own guitar sometimes, and I would tune the guitar, and then he'd say, "Give me that thing."
And if Chris sees still to this day, if he
A
sees
tuner?
an electric tuner,
He's like,
"Oh,
"Oh,
are you a musician or an electrician?"
The rain came down all in my bed. The rain came down all in my bed. The rain came down and it went ahead. Oh. Rivers too wide to cross in time. Rivers too wide to cross in time. The river crossed my mind. Rising tide washes away my time. Rising tide washes away my time. But the rising tide shall bring me down. Well, the rain came down all in my eyes. The rain came down all in my eyes. But compared to my tears, the rain fell dry. compared to my tears. Compared to my tears. Compared to my tears. The rain fell dry.
I remembered it.
I'm not sure, you know, that was one. Have we played that one together? I mean,
Yeah, probably like 10, 15 years ago.
nice. It's fair to play with you again.
Yeah, man.
Sounds good. So, one of my I asked Rob if he would tell this story. Lots of claps, lots of love, lots of fire symbols.
This is fun.
Yeah.
All right, I'm in the cult.
We've got a new cult member, guys. Nice work. Rob has a favorite story. So, I mean, what a dream, right? Like a young, aspiring harmonica player, right out of college from a suburb of Boston, right? And he gets invited by this legendary Hall of Fame blues artist to tour around North America. And you did that for how many years?
I did it full time for a few, and then I played with Sam. Now he's 85. As recently as 2 summers ago.
Yeah.
He's not playing anymore, but I on his last gig, basically.
Oh, wow.
And all through.
Sam, by the way, he's a drummer, right? A blues drummer. And he was famous for what they call the double shuffle, right?
The double shuffle.
The double shuffle, that was his thing.
Yep.
And he was an incredible drummer, and that's why he would play with all these legendary players. But he was also a great singer and performer, and so when they played, he would play drums, and he would sing the songs. And
one of the few bands you'd find where the drums were front and center. And we played in a line, which was cool actually, because I could see everything that he was doing, and it informed what I should be doing dynamically and otherwise, and it was pretty good education.
And it's incredible to me. What I learned too is that there is a difference between, right, the blues form is simple, but playing the blues is a really hard and incredibly immersive art form that is so specific, and it's so it's incredible. I would have never really appreciated, and they were playing really traditional, old school Chicago.
Well, they were. I was learning.
Yeah, you were learning, but
I was getting my ass kicked.
You were.
Yeah.
So tell them the story on just how you got your ass kicked.
So, I mean, blues, anyone that's picked up a guitar or something, it's generally a few chords, it's 12 bars, you can get the form pretty fast. So it's all about the specificity and the nuance and mostly the interplay between the musicians, and particularly traditional Chicago stuff. So when I got into the band, I didn't know any of this. And I was just playing kind of all over everything. And it would be sort of like someone's painting a really beautiful picture, and then you come up with like a giant house painting brush and just put swats over. So I had about that much finesse, but I didn't know. And the first show, the guitar player, Chris, all he keeps shouting over at me is no. Yeah. And I didn't know what I was supposed to be playing, but it was very clear what I shouldn't be playing. And I was trying to sort it out. But meanwhile, Sam kept calling me out. How about it for Rob Stone on the harmonica? How about put your hands together for Rob Stone? So after the show, I go up to the bass player and the guitar player. It's just a 4-piece band. And I'm like, well, that went really well, right? And they're looking at me like, are you on crack,
Mm-hmm.
And I said, well, come on, don't tell me that didn't go well. He was like calling my name every 10 seconds. And the guitar player just looks at me and goes, he only calls out your name when you fuck up. And I looked at the bass player and he just goes.
And those guys, those guys, Chris and Patrick.
They're masters.
They're masters.
Patrick's nominated annually for 10 years running for Bassist of the Year at the Blues Music Awards.
Patrick's last name?
Patrick Rinn.
Patrick Rinn.
He's great.
And Chris James.
Chris James. They're great. Their records are great. Yeah.
And I remember something telling when I was like, you were first telling me about how Chris was kind of the band leader and the disciplinarian.
Right.
He was, but like a true master.
Oh yeah.
You said to me, you said, he can play harmonica better than I can.
Oh yeah, he taught me how to play harmonica.
That's crazy. And not a harmonic player. He was a guitar player.
He
right?
studied first as a clarinetist and saxophone player with one of Duke Ellington's guys. So he had this jazz background. And that guy made him cry every single day for years. Because he was a boy. He was 10. He was playing professionally at 12 out in the community on bass. And one day the harmonica, or no, he was playing harmonica. And one day the bass player didn't show up and the band leader gave him a bass and said, "You're playing bass." And so he learned to play bass on the gig with a well-known blues guy. And then guitar was his last instrument. He's great. You should look him up. He's a great musician.
So Chris James and Patrick are in. Just tell the gatherers where they can look up. I mean, you can look up Sam Lay. And
yeah,
his
Sam's
stuff.
out there. He's in the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame and all that. And Chris and Patrick. If you just look up Chris James and Patrick Rinn, you'll find them. Rinn is Rynn. They have good stuff. It's on all the things where you can find music now.
But it's worth listening to them. They were right one step removed, but influences on me because there was a lot of discipline in that band as performers. They would be playing. I mean, you'd be playing in a like Berwyn. I remember some like
Harlem Avenue,
small little club, a little bar. And at this point, I've played thousands of those gigs, but I didn't play them at that point. And this was a blues bar, and they played all night long, and
3 hours.
And it did not matter. It did not matter who was coming and going. It did not matter what kind of stage they were on. They were pros every second of their time on the stage, and it was awesome. It was awesome for me to get to see. Let's play another song.
Let's go.
Okay.
What you got?
Let's do Eddie Whistles. All right. Another one I wrote that first year when I was living in Chicago, and this is called Eddie Whistles. Like apple pie, inside something sticky, but your outside's kind of dry. And out the life you ought to live, have to leave. If I know you got something ready up your sleeve. And you're walking down the streets I need, hear the sound, find all the secrets. only like to shake your twisted hand. Spread your legs on through the street and all across the car. And then walking down the street, something other side, finding all the secrets. Yeah, man.
All right.
Woo! Cheers.
Cheers. It's been really long. An hour. Felt good.
Long time, man. Long time. Rob, so as I was starting off playing music, I was in Boston, and you all know some of these stories. You look in the comments?
I'm looking.
Yeah, they're happy. And as I was starting to play music, and some of you know some of these stories, right? I started to put a band together, and we would play in nasty little bars around Boston, whoever would hire us. And the first time that when we were ready to come out with an album, or we thought we were ready to come out with an album, we decided that we would go into the studio that I had been working at. Not working like doing engineer stuff. I was like, they let me do some carpentry in trade for studio hours. And we invited about 30 people down for this concert. Do you remember this?
Yeah.
It was called, the studio's called Wellspring Sound. And for you gatherers who were around this summer, you know we actually did a gathering from Wellspring Sound this summer when we were recording some piano for the album project. And so in that room where we recorded our gathering and we hung out, we did a little concert way back in, it must be 2002, something like that, 2002, I think it was. And there were about 30 people there, and at the time, the drummer that I was playing with, Honey John Appa, and the bassist was Kristen Isbicki, and Rob came into Boston for it, and he actually played on some of those tracks. So if you want to hear Rob 18 years ago playing on very early Adam Ezra Group stuff, some of those tracks on the Sessions album were recorded and performed live. And Rob, if you hear harmonica, it ain't me. It's
That's
Rob.
a good record. He won't like. He probably hates it. I think it's good.
It's funny. I've had to
It's hard to listen to something you did 18 years ago. I can't listen to something I did 18 minutes ago.
It's hard, man. You know, but and one thing that I talk about with the Gatherers is like the beautiful thing about music is that it's a living art form, so it continues to evolve over time. It's never the same thing. It's not a static thing. A recording can capture a static moment, but that song will never be the same as it was in that moment. And so
much like a snowflake.
See, we need more people giving me shit at the Gatherers.
I would be remiss.
But this was, both Rob and I grew up in little towns outside of Boston, and this is a song that he performed on that Sessions album. He probably has not played it since.
Which one is it?
Side to Side in G.
Thank you.
You're welcome. And you'll recognize it when you start.
Yeah.
My shirt came all unbuttoned.
That is heavily by design. There's someone over here with a fishing line pulling his shirt open.
That's our
Pull it down. Button number 2.
But this is a song inspired by my growing up in a small town, and it's the last 2 songs. Now it's very funny because those last 2 songs I think of as kind of bluesy songs, but for Rob, it is like a total. It's songwriter stuff. I would say. Is that right?
Yeah, totally. Yeah.
And that's the difference between somebody who like understands blues and someone who like enjoys blues but doesn't know it deeply. And I get the fact that I mess with the format, and as soon as the format is different.
But it's more fun. It's fun for me to do this.
Yeah.
Because I never get to do anything.
Yeah.
I don't get to do much different stuff.
But this is even further departure because it's really, you wouldn't think of this as a bluesy song, and but Rob's the kind of musician who can just kind of roll with that.
We shall see. Like that.
Up in the backwoods of a small town, my hometown. I sneak out through the backyard where the birds would be waiting around. We'd go creeping and the night was our time. I remember the way that the moon would shine. All of the mischief and the lessons learned. Times I kicked on through and the times I was burned. And it's not so far that I can't see. There's still a part of me. It's the highest time. It's the paths we fly. It's an unpaved road, it's a rocky ride. And all I can do is shake my head from side to side. She must have been 4 years older, I was so young, just 14. I saw her staring at me, it was a look I had never seen. She said me ever so slow as she came around. I remember the way that she laid me down. And all of the wonder and mystery as I glimpsed the man that I would learn. And she's not so far that I can't find. Go with me tank as I head west out of town. Turn the radio up to my favorite sound. Guitar strumming with the sound of the wheels on Highway 9 in the morning. And I remember this day from the rest of town. It's the highest time. It's the paths we fly. It's a new paved road. It's a rocky ride. And all I can do is shake my head from side to side. Yeah. Oh man, that brings back a lot of memories. It was such a cool thing for me, just as a little baby starting off musician, to get to play with a guy like Rob. There's a lot of good memories there.
So nice. I paid him a lot of money to say that.
Tons of money. That's part of the policy. Okay, so that's all well and good. These were all songs that Rob has played before, albeit a decade and a half earlier. But I thought that we would give him a challenge tonight and have him play a song that he has never played with me before. And you gatherers know this song better than he does, I am sure. This is we're gonna play "Find a Way," and it's an E.
Got it. Gatherers, if I fuck this up, I am really sorry. I don't know the penalties.
Huge penalties, huge. Last night was a rocket morning. Tonight is coming soon. The rain keep falling heavy on my head. My brothers and my sisters holding hands and marching on. It's the only thing that gets me bed. And I may cross River Jordan. I may face rising tide. But I got a simple plan to get us through these stormy days. Hold on to each other, find a way. We got to hold on to each other, find a way. We got the preachers on the left and the politicians on the right. Who shouts panic everywhere we turn. When the ones who talk loudest are also banging their says the most, we better question what they're trying to make us learn. And I may cross the River Jordan. I may face rising tide. When their cards are on the table, it's only one good hand to play. Hold on to each other, find a way. We got to hold on to each other, find a way. Come on, Rob. Well, I'm marching for tomorrow, but sometimes I do despair. That I don't possess the will to carry on. But my brothers and my sisters keep me tethered to the wheel, and I know they keep on singing when I'm gone. way to hang with me at the end.
I tried.
Shit, man. It's very funny because when you are a blues artist, there's something really interesting that happens. You can play blues artists. A lot of good artists can do a lot of this in any form, but in blues in particular, if you know what you are doing, you can play with other bands seamlessly or almost seamlessly. You can do, depending on your musicianship, right? But if you're a good band leader, there are kind of universal kind of ways that you can lead a band. I lead only one band, my little band of amazing friends and misfits, and we have our own system. But when I am in a situation, actually it's very interesting, when I'm in a situation when I'm playing with a professional musician who plays with a lot of different musicians, I'm not the greatest band leader in the
but
world.
you like watch. That's why if I don't know the song, I'm like really trying to watch him to try to make sure I don't fuck it all up and just follow what's going on. But I travel a lot to Europe and Asia, and I go by myself and I play with bands there. And it's sometimes now for many of the countries I know exactly who I want to play with, but there's always those tours where I go and I always say to the band with the translator, because I don't speak any language, just barely English, and they don't. and I always say, okay, by the end of this tour, we're going to be really good. Because half the time it's just figuring out how to play with one another, and for me to figure out how to non-verbally lead everything I want.
Right, and this is something I could never do without my bandies. He can fly in to Japan where they can have a 20-show tour set up, and he does not know his band members before they get together, and maybe they'll get together if they're lucky before the first show.
Maybe for like an hour. but in fairness, like we send them music ahead of time. They usually artists who play blues, they have a frame of reference for the music. So it's not like I'm getting like polka players. You know?
It is a true story.
But still, stylistically, like I said before, blues, just because they give me blues players doesn't mean they know how to play ensemble style or traditional Chicago style or whatever, you know.
And that was one of the things that I really learned from hanging with Rob and watching him play, especially post Sam Lay. He would play all the time. And for those of you, I put a link on the post today, but I'm sure our chaperones will repost robstone.com, and from there you can get onto Rob's Spotify page and his Facebook page, all his social media stuff.
Like my Facebook page. I need some people on there.
Then we'll do it.
I only have a few thousand people.
Our gatherers will do it.
Come on, gatherers. I'm part of the thing now.
You can't use them like that.
Oh yeah. Don't do it. Don't go on. Don't.
But it really is. I love listening to Rob's music, and over the years since he started writing, he started coming out with his own albums, putting together his own bands, touring around the world as Rob Stone. Sometimes Rob Stone the C Notes, right? I remember seeing some shows where you would be playing with, you'd be playing with the band that I didn't know, and I'd be like, oh man, that sounded so good, man, and you'd be like, I can't play with that drummer ever again. Can't play with that drummer. And
well, after Sam Lay, it's hard to play with any. Yeah, I got spoiled. I got spoiled really early. Drummers are really hard to find. Great drummers are impossible to find.
Alex Martin.
All right, Alex. Well, for my genre, traditional Chicago blues drummers who play interactively, and it's all improvisation off of one another, but with a lot of rules, and it's so hard to find guys. And I got lucky to play with like the best guys, and then most of them died, and it's so hard because and coming up with Sam Lay is just not fair to anyone, because in the back of my head all I hear is Sam's drumming, and he was such a unique drummer. He's still around, but he can't perform anymore, and he can't play drums. He hasn't been able to play drums for a number of years, but I still always hear his drumming.
I get it.
It's
man.
what I want.
So we toured with the Wailers, Bob Marley's band, right?
Yeah.
And Family Man really defined reggae music, and he would play these fat notes that were like a half a measure behind the rest of the band, and it just worked. It like pulled in just the right way, and we'd watch, and it was like nothing else sounds like that. Nothing else sounds like
It's
that.
what you chase as a musician for your whole career. It's trying to figure out how you can sound like you and nobody else and have an identifiable sound
Yeah,
like that.
yeah.
I clearly don't, because the first time I heard myself on the radio, I was at a gym working out, and all of a sudden a song comes on, and I'm like, who is this harmonic player? Is it... I think it might be this guy. No, it's not him. Maybe it's that guy. And then the vocals came in. I'm like, oh, I know this one.
Hey, before we play one more song,
Yeah.
can you tell them about your upcoming album?
Yes. So I have a record coming out in May, the end of May. It's really different for me. It's I normally record with a full band, sometimes 4, 5, 6, 7 pieces with horns and stuff. And this one I recorded as an acoustic trio with just upright bass, piano, and harmonica and vocals. And I went to Japan, and we did a whole record very quickly in a couple of days, and then it was like big band songs, like Louis Jordan songs and stuff that you normally would hear with full arrangements, and we did them as this stripped down thing. It's totally different for me, and I'm excited about it. So it's coming out on a record label called Blue Heart, which is part of NOLA Blue Records, in May, I think like May 21st or so.
Nice.
So I'm a little scared to put it out. It's when you play with these cut down combos, you're really exposed. So every fuck up is very apparent, at least to me. Vocally, you're out there. It's very clean recorded record, so it's pretty scary. But I'm gonna throw it into the world, and we'll see.
Right.
Yeah, and it was great. I should say, recorded in Tokyo with 2 incredible Japanese musicians, Elena Kato and Hiroshi Eguchi. Hiroshi was in Mavis Staples' band out of Chicago, and Elena's been playing all around Japan for years. So they were great, and we have that kind of combo ensemble chemistry. So it was very fun.
That's cool.
Yeah.
So, gatherers, we're going to go a little bit, we're going to go slightly over our time tonight, because I want to play one more song with Rob before I finish up and play a song and keep you all to myself for our last song together. But this is a song we've been playing since that very first year. I wrote it. I was in Chicago living with Rob and his brother Jeff on 9/11. And I remember being on their couch watching it all happen in New York, and that, you can't be a songwriter and not let that affect you. And so this was the song I wrote after that. It's called Western Man. Hey, sorry. Something you should see. vicious. Thinks himself is quite judicious. Shake your head and smile. Was that true? I am assuming. Hate is up, war is booming. I think we need the Western woman to take the wheel of mine. Young child, taint aside, can't make us stand. Whispering pride, genocide, and they come to kill the Western mind. Ooh, come on, oh, the Western mind. Come on. I say, hey, hey, look around. Watch the buildings falling down. Oh no, who's gonna be the next to go? Hey, hey, look around. Watch the buildings falling down. Oh no, and the next tomorrow. Oh, the Western.
All right, brother.
Thank you for hanging, man. Awesome.
All right, make the last one good.
All right, I'll try not to screw up the last one. Woo! That was pretty good, huh? Rob Stone. Yeah, I think so too. I'm hearing your comments, or reading them at least. Well, this has turned into kind of a longer than usual. So we're kind of in the ballpark. This is painting inside the lines, at least for me. Fun. I am used to saying this, but I really am reminded all the time these days. It's good to have friends, and if nothing else, this year sure has helped me appreciate how important those friends are in my life. Raise up your glasses. Let us drink to the wind at our backs. May it always blow steady wherever you're wrong. May it turn when you're ready to carry you home. May it keep you ahead of the man. Raise up your glasses. Let us drink to the heavens above. Some say it's a glimpse of God's great design. Some say it's the science of all things combined. May we look up and always feel wonder. Here is to us none that we see. Here's to our hearts and the air that we breathe. Here's to good company. Here's to the drink that we share. Raise up your glasses. Let us drink to this time that we have. These moments pass lightly, won't come again. our lives all burn brightly right up to the end. May we live them with joyous abandon. Raise up your glasses, let us drink to the end of the day. Let us drink to the work when the working is through. Let us drink one to me, let us drink one to you. Let us drink one to those who aren't with us. Here is to us, and all that we see is to our hearts and the air that we breathe. Here's to around in good company. Here's to the future, here's to the past. Let us drink one down slow, let us drink one down fast. Let us drink one as if this night is our last. Here's to the drink that we share. Oh, here's to the drink that we share. Yeah. This is a treat for me tonight, gatherers. I see some shout outs for Karina out there. Did she pop in and hang with us? Karina, are you hanging with us tonight? I love that. By the way, Karina, you should see Team Gathering has been coming up with a special gathering logo for Science Tuesday. It's very exciting. I'm very excited to unleash it on Tuesday when you come and visit us in person. Thank you for hanging out. Thanks for being good too and appreciating my friend Rob. He's pretty badass, right? It's good to have friends. I hope y'all are okay. Thanks for being with me. Please stay safe. Keep on looking out for one another, and I'll see you tomorrow.